How many times can a person fail before they give up? 1 failure. 2. 3. Now imagine losing investors. Watching your company collapse. Being told your ideas won't work. And then starting over anyway. Most people would have accepted defeat. Many did. But one man kept building. Kept experimenting. Kept failing. Until the thing everyone thought was impossible became something ordinary. And in doing so, he didn't just build a company. He changed how the world moved. His name was Henry Ford. And before he built an empire, he became very familiar with failure. Before we begin, thank you for coming back and spending a few moments with us today. Tonight's story is about a man who failed again and again, yet refused to quit. So settle in, and let's step back into history. And if you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and join us for the next one. Henry Ford was born in 1863 on a farm in Michigan, USA. His family expected him to become a farmer. That was the sensible path. The safe path. The familiar path. But from an early age, Henry cared more about machines than crops. While others saw tools, he saw puzzles. While others worked the fields, he spent hours taking things apart to understand how they worked. Clocks fascinated him. Engines fascinated him. Anything mechanical captured his attention. As he grew older, Ford became increasingly convinced that machines would shape the future. Particularly one machine. The automobile. At the time, cars were rare. Very rare. Most people traveled by horse, wagon, bicycle, or train. Automobiles existed, but they were expensive, unreliable, and often viewed as toys for the wealthy. Few people imagined they would become part of everyday life. Ford disagreed. He believed ordinary people should be able to own cars. Not just the rich. Not just inventors. Everyone. It was an ambitious vision. The problem was that he had no proven way to make it happen. In the 1890s, Ford worked as an engineer while experimenting with engines during his spare time. Late nights became common. He studied designs. Built prototypes. Tested ideas. Made mistakes. Then repeated the process. Again and again. Eventually, he completed his first gasoline-powered vehicle. It wasn't beautiful. It wasn't perfect. But it moved. For Ford, that was enough. Many inventors would have been satisfied with creating a working machine. Ford wanted something larger. He wanted a business. He wanted production. He wanted scale. And that's where the failures began. In 1899, he launched the Detroit Automobile Company. The opportunity seemed promising. Investors showed interest. The future looked bright. Then reality arrived. The vehicles were expensive. Production was slow. Quality problems emerged. Customers remained limited. The company failed. For many entrepreneurs, a failed company represents the end. For Henry Ford, it became a lesson. Painful. Embarrassing. Costly. But a lesson. He believed he could do better. So he started again. His second venture didn't go much better. Disagreements emerged. Investors lost patience. Management conflicts increased. Eventually, Ford left. Another setback. Another failure. Another reason to quit. Yet he didn't. Instead, he focused on something unexpected. Racing. At first glance, it seemed unrelated to his broader goals. But Ford understood something important. Victories attract attention. Attention attracts investors. Investors create opportunities. So he built racing cars. Fast ones. One of his vehicles became famous after defeating competitors in highly publicized races. Suddenly, people who had ignored Henry Ford began paying attention. His reputation grew. Investors returned. And this time, Ford had another chance. In 1903, he founded the Ford Motor Company. Unlike previous attempts, this company survived. At first, success remained uncertain. The automobile industry was crowded with competitors. Many companies appeared promising. Most would eventually disappear. Nothing guaranteed Ford's future. Early vehicles sold reasonably well. But Henry Ford remained obsessed with a bigger idea. He didn't want to build luxury automobiles for wealthy customers. He wanted to build practical cars for ordinary families. Affordable. Reliable. Simple. That goal would lead to one of the most influential products in industrial history. In 1908, Ford introduced the Ford Model T. The car wasn't the first automobile ever made. It wasn't the fastest. It wasn't the most luxurious. What made it special was accessibility. The Model T was designed for regular people. Farmers. Workers. Families. People who had never imagined owning a car. The vehicle proved enormously popular. Demand exploded. Orders poured in. Customers wanted more cars than Ford could produce. For most businesses, this would be a wonderful problem. For Ford, it became a challenge. How could he manufacture enough vehicles quickly and affordably? The answer would transform industry itself. Ford and his team refined the moving assembly line. While assembly techniques already existed in various forms, Ford dramatically improved and expanded their use. Instead of workers moving around a product, the product moved between workers. Each person performed specific tasks repeatedly. Production accelerated dramatically. Costs fell. Output increased. The impact was extraordinary. Building a car became faster. Much faster. What once required many hours could now be completed in a fraction of the time. The savings allowed Ford to reduce prices. Lower prices attracted more customers. More customers increased production. The cycle reinforced itself. Soon, automobiles that once seemed like luxury items became attainable for growing numbers of people. Road travel changed. Communities changed. Industries changed. The effects extended far beyond transportation. Entire economies adapted to a world where ordinary people could travel farther and faster than ever before. Ford also made another decision that attracted enormous attention. In 1914, he announced that many workers would receive $5 per day. The wage was significantly higher than what many industrial workers earned at the time. The announcement shocked observers. Some critics predicted disaster. Others believed the policy would destroy profits. Instead, it helped attract workers and reduce turnover. The decision became one of the most discussed business moves of the era. Although historians note that the policy came with various conditions and complexities, it nevertheless reshaped conversations about wages and industrial labor. As Ford's success expanded, so did his influence. Factories grew. Production increased. The Ford Motor Company became one of the most recognizable businesses in the world. The man who once struggled to keep companies alive now controlled one of the largest industrial enterprises on earth. Yet success did not eliminate controversy. Like many powerful historical figures, Henry Ford's legacy contains significant complexities. Some of his business decisions remain debated. His views on certain social and political issues have been widely criticized by historians. And not every innovation associated with Ford originated solely with him. Large teams contributed to many achievements. Understanding these realities is important. History is rarely simple. Even so, Ford's impact on manufacturing remains undeniable. His methods influenced industries far beyond automobiles. Factories producing appliances, machinery, consumer goods, and countless other products adopted similar approaches. The assembly line became one of the defining symbols of modern industrial production. What makes Henry Ford's story especially fascinating is that none of this seemed inevitable. People often remember the empire, the factories, the cars, the success. They forget the failures that came first. The failed companies. The disappointed investors. The abandoned ventures. The years of uncertainty. If Henry Ford had quit after his first company collapsed, history would remember him differently. If he had quit after the second failure, the world might have changed differently. If he had accepted the belief that automobiles were only for the wealthy, millions of people might have waited much longer for affordable transportation. Instead, he kept going. Not because success was guaranteed. Because it wasn't. Not because failure disappeared. Because it didn't. He continued because he believed the vision mattered more than the setbacks. Today, billions of people live in a world shaped by mass production. A world where products can be manufactured efficiently and distributed widely. That transformation involved many inventors, engineers, and entrepreneurs. Henry Ford was one of the most influential among them. The people who saw him during his failures often saw a man whose companies kept collapsing. The people who saw him later saw an industrial giant. History sees both. Because neither story is complete without the other. Before Henry Ford built an empire, he built failures. One after another. And each one taught him something the next success required. That is why his story continues to resonate. Not because he never failed. But because he refused to let failure become the final chapter. And sometimes, the difference between giving up and changing the world is simply deciding to try one more time.